Get that out the way.
Yeah, it's good and bad.
Okay.
You have to adjust to less sleep, and you have to adjust to less me time, and that hurts. That's a bad thing. But it's actually good because it's just you growing up.
Yeah.
Really. Because until you have kids, really until you get married, you think life is all about you. And it pretty much is. You don't have to share your life with anyone. But with kids, you gotta get them whatever, sauce they like for their chicken nuggets, or else you gotta go back to the store. See, it's all coming together.
Yeah,
The
like,
Polynesian sauce,
life is all about sauce and Jesus, really.
That's
If
right.
you really think about it.
Sauce. The sauce is forever.
You're responsible for that person's life
and their sauce.
and their
Like,
sauce.
if you're a dad and you don't get your kid their favorite sauce, you failed.
Honestly,
And you have to
yeah.
go back to the drive-thru. That's just how.
Have
That's
you
how
done
parents.
this before? Has this happened?
Probably has. I usually just ask for every sauce.
One of all of them?
You just have to cover all the bases. You've never done that before?
As for one of every sauce?
Yeah.
No. If somebody
That's a dad move. See, that's what that
if
is.
somebody came to beat us into that, I'd be so upset.
Yeah.
Because there's so many. Like,
Oh, you should hear my order. It's like two ranch, 2 barbecue, 2 Polynesian, 2 Chick-fil-A, 2 honey barbecue. Have you had honey barbecue sauce?
I haven't.
It's like Chick-fil-A sauce, except version 2, and it comes in a squeeze packet. You ever had that?
Better?
It's I think it has the same base, but it's got a little more tang to it. So
I have to try that.
yeah, honey barbecue.
I think I'm going to Chick-fil-A later.
Okay,
so
cool.
I might have to do that.
Awesome. So, anyways, about being a dad.
Yeah, the serious stuff. Parenting.
Sauce is forever.
Sauce.
Right, exactly. So that's one of the bad things. You just have to learn to not make life about you. I'm still working on that one. I'm still learning that every day. But the good things, so many good things, like just knowing that you've helped to create another human being is really cool. That you get to help shape them, that you just see them grow. And it's really, really cool to watch them grow and to grow up. And you really get the heart, I think, of God. I'm going to turn this into a God answer. It's going to be a God answer. But you start to adopt God's heart when you have kids, because you care for another person in a way that you want to shelter them and provide for them and nourish them. And your heart breaks when their heart breaks. And it's different. Like, you like kids before you have kids, but when you become a dad, it wrecks you in a good way. And I think that's how God sees all of us. And I never really understood the idea of God the Father until I had kids. Yeah. And there's really no way to know what it's like until you have kids.
Okay, this one might be a longer answer.
Okay.
Tell us, you can make it as detailed or as brief as you want, but tell us about your testimony.
My testimony?
Yes.
Wow, this is a good question. Okay. So I grew up in a home that was Catholic, and my mom took me to Catholic church, but I would not say I really had a close relationship with Jesus. In fact, I didn't even know that was possible. My idea of God was pretty distant, informal, hands-off, kind of like a principal. He was like someone who would point out all the rules if I broke them. And so that was my religious upbringing growing up. And so I didn't really have a relationship with God, nor did I try and live for him, because I didn't know that. I wasn't really motivated to. But I got invited to New Life Church when I was in high school, and then I learned that Jesus wants to have a relationship. And that changed everything when I learned that God wanted to have a close relationship with me. And so I embraced it. I said, God, if that's what you want, if that's who you are, I'm going to embrace that. And I jumped headfirst into everything. I was serving in youth group. I got baptized a few years later. But I think the biggest thing that God saved me from in terms of what I was relying on instead of him was relationships. For me, I was kind of the dude who always had to be with someone to feel good about myself. And I didn't realize later that that's who I was worshiping. And so a lot of times when you connect with God, he shows you that hole in your heart that you've been trying to fill with other things. And for me, it was girls. So he worked on that in my life, and that was one of the big things that he helped me learn to let go of, to trust him. And when I met Debbie, she was unlike anyone else I'd ever been with, because she was a godly girl, godly woman, young woman. And so that was another God moment, and now we're married now. But yeah, married 10 years.
Woo!
So, yeah, raise the roof.
Yeah.
So it's good, and and if you're serious about your faith, you want to find someone who is that serious too. That's very, very important, super important, especially when you're in ministry. But in short, that's how it's summarized. God showed me how much I needed him. He showed me how other stuff that I was trying to fill that hole with was not working. And inside, I knew it wasn't working, because I was never really happy. I was never really fulfilled, you know. And so that's how he really, really worked in my life. Have I ever told you that before?
I don't know. I feel like bits and pieces here and there, but like not like all in one timeline.
Right. There you go.
So, there you go. Full timeline.
There you go.
Put it on a poster or something. Tell us about your journey and like the struggles and the highs and lows of your journey through ministry.
That's another good one. This one could go real long, so I'll give you the short version. I was working in technology, and even though I studied to be a pastor in college, when I graduated, I wasn't sure that's what I was going to do. And I think at that time I was wrestling with obedience. Interested in doing ministry, but not sure if I really wanted to jump in. And so I went to technology for many years. But every tech job I had was really good in terms of, you know, it paid the bills, put food on the table, but I never felt like I was fulfilling my life's mission. And sometimes when people are called to ministry, they have a moment where they get zapped or they get this impression. And my youth pastor had that. Pastor John had a story like that, but I never did. And so I just assumed because God never zapped me, I must not be legitimately called to be a pastor. And I really wanted that validation. But now that I look back, I think my journey has been God calling me out to make sure I trust him every step of the way. Because if he did just show me the roadmap, I almost think I would have still doubted, because I'm just kind of a doubter. There's a guy in the Bible named Gideon who always kind of second guesses God, and he keeps having to test God. And eventually you just got to trust. And I think I'm like Gideon in that way. So as I was working in technology after college, working tons of jobs, feeling so unfulfilled, and for me it turned out that God had something different for me to do. I didn't know it at the time, but I was just really just feeling like something was missing. I had a purpose in my life that I wanted to live out. And so I started to just do more at the church, and Pastor John was an amazing mentor for me to just give me responsibility before I was even ready for it. And through that process, God confirmed that this was my calling. And usually when God confirms a call of ministry, a lot of times it has to get affirmed by the church. In other words, is this person effective at achieving the mission of the church as a pastor? Everyone is called to make disciples. As a Christian, you share your faith, you help lead others to him. But those who are called to ministry, it has to be validated by the church as well, because the board actually has to vouch for me as a pastor by signing documents for me to apply for my license. So if like they see something in my life that doesn't add up, I may say I'm called, but it's a group effort. And you read through the Bible how God uses the church to validate and to build up leaders. So, but that was basically my process. I was working in tech, always felt like something was missing. God had given me opportunities through New Life to explore. I started to see God move, and I also started to trust him, because I was trusting him every new step. When I first quit my job and went into ministry, that was a big deal, because the pay was different, the responsibility was way more stressful. When I was working a day job, man, I could just clock in. I was really good at my job. And that almost made it more unfulfilling because I could do it, not put any effort forth, and just kind of sit around like, what am I going to do all day? Like, I used to ride the elevators at work because I would get my work done and use the bathroom on different floors. Did I ever tell you this story?
No.
I was so bored at my job one time, I would ride elevators, and this building had 6 different floors, and every bathroom was identical. So it's not like I was going somewhere new, but I was so bored, I would be done with my work, I would just use the elevator and go to the bathroom in a new bathroom on the 3rd floor, but it looked exactly like the one on the 1st floor, but I would just be so bored. And the way our company worked is the CEO of our company was in an elevator one time after I had gone on one of my little excursions, but I went onto a floor that wasn't part of our company's. And so as I used the bathroom on like the 4th floor, I hit the elevator button and it opens and he's standing there. And he's like, oh, I didn't know we have offices on this floor. And I said, and I just made up some like white lie. I'm like, I said I got off on the wrong floor, which was technically true. But yeah, so I kind of got caught running around using the bathrooms on different floors, but that's how bored I was. And you make up stupid stuff when you're at a job you don't really like. And for me, that's not really the point. I mean, we all have to do work we don't like, but for me, it ended up being that God was calling me into ministry because I've always had such a deep passion for what the mission of the church is. But what's weird is you don't really know that until you try it. You can't just go to biblical school and learn and say, okay, you're going to walk out a pastor. Like, so much of it is your own inner trust in God and experience. It's really a journey, and I think God uses that to make sure that we trust Him, whether you're a pastor or not, but that was definitely my journey. Yeah.
Interesting.